Hello everyone, this is Steve. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is going to be kind of a strange one tonight, but what I wanted to do was kind of go over some of my Atari stuff. I always say Atari because I'm old-fashioned Atari, but anyways, I wanted to go over some of my Commodore stuff and my Atari stuff to kind of show you some of the things I have. I kind of did this before and did kind of a review. I just wanted to see if there's anything you guys wanted to talk about, and I just felt a compulsive need to show you this stuff. So let's get started. It might be better to adjust my camera too. So I'm probably going to pause here a second. Okay, so we're going to resume here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the stuff I have here. I'm going to adjust the camera down here a little bit. I might need to do it more. So you're going to see kind of inside here a little bit. Man, maybe I'll just have to hold stuff up. Be kind of weird. You get to see my little messy room I have going on here. I'm not too proud of that right now. But yeah, I wanted to show you some of this stuff here. I did a review like this before, but I don't know if I showed you everything very specific. These are some Commodore 64 discs. There we go. These are some Commodore 64 discs I bought at a store here in Arizona. I don't know if you can see that or not. I bought these in Arizona quite a long time ago, before the internet was even really the internet, actually. So these are some different games. I've never actually played these. Maybe a few of them. There's Raid Over Moscow, Super Huey, Starcross, Bandit, Datman, I have no idea what that is. That's D-A-T-M-E-N. Ken Uston's Blackjack. You Are Master. I've never heard of these. The Injured Engine. That's kind of an old one right there for you. You can see that. It's coming backward anyway. Injured Engine. Studio 64. That one sounds interesting. And something called a Fast Loader. So that's what's in the first one. So they have utilities, games, and kind of everything in them. And this one has Battle for Antwerp. I have no idea what that means. Just not realize you're not able to see this unless I hold it up. My bad. So Battle for Antwerp. Temple of Asphi. This one is Solo Flight. That's kind of like a simulator. Infidel. Anybody remembers that one? I think it's like a text adventure if I recall. There's another Infidel. Perry Mason, The Case of the Mandarin Murder. I'm just going to come backward again, but anyway. Temple of Asphi. I think I just read that one earlier. I have no idea what band it is, but it says Bandit. See? There's another Temple of Asphi. I say that was a double-sided, because sometimes these discs came double-sided. They had Commodore on one side and Atari on the back. You guys remember that? Go ahead and throw your comments below. This one is Mind Shadow. I have no idea what this one is. And Solo Flight Stunt Flyer. I like these cases too. They're kind of cool and unique. This one's got some interesting software on it. This one, it has a Dallas Quest, like from the show, Dallas. This one is Jumpman, Forbidden Forest, Miss Pac-Man, and Buck Rogers. There's another Perry Mason, two of these. This one's called Dragon's World. I have no idea what this is. It's called two different discs, or actually it's on 3, I think. Let me see. 4? Huh. 5? Like 5 discs. I don't know what that is. Silent Service. That was like a naval simulation, naval game. That was kind of cool. Super Huey again. Beachhead. That's a volleyball game, I believe. Thought I had one more lying around here somewhere, but I don't have it in here. I have 4 of these cases. The other one's just not in here, I guess. took it out and put it somewhere else. Let me see if it was underneath here real quick. No, guess not. I guess it's not under there. I thought it was. I guess some of the other things I could show you. And I probably showed you this before, but this is actually a Commodore 64. Who remembers this? It's a data cassette. So basically in the old days you would actually put a tape here. You would eject this like this. And you would put the tape in here. And you would close it and you would load it. And this cord of course would be plugged into your computer. Your Commodore computer. And it would receive data from this machine into your computer. So basically you would store your programs on here rather than storing them, you know, on a floppy disk, for example. And you could load them in. The only disadvantage of those days is it was a lot slower to get the information into your computer, for those who remember. And of course disk drives came later. But my very first computer, which was on an Atari, was actually, I used a cassette recorder. I think it was called a 1040 if I recall. And it was loading in the Atari stuff. Anyway. Let's see what else I have in here. I just now found another set of discs here. I think these are my Atari discs. There's another case of discs. And these are actually my Atari discs. So I got a lot of different Atari programs I wrote on here. And these I started up around 2000. Mostly I was working on that Deadman game, and I had all that on there and some other stuff. Who remembers the old Atari joysticks? I grew up with Atari 2600, man, I love that. It's such a cool thing. Oh, I think I just now found the other one. No, that's the same one, okay. I didn't show you this last time, but I'm going to show you anyway. And get into stuff. I got these when I ordered at eBay, so this is actually the Marble Madness. It's a game, and it is actually the disc case for it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's kind of old. Skate or Die, there's the original Skate or Die. So if you open that up, you can see the kids, I think that's Tony Hawk skateboard or whatever that is, I don't know. Probably before Tony Hawk. But yeah, it's just got some professionals on skateboards. And here's a print shop companion. Anybody remembers that? Here's an old basic book. I don't think I've ever really used this one. This one's like school book material. If you look at the stuff on this, it's pretty old school stuff. It's got like questions, answers in it and stuff like that. So pretty old. Well, actually, it's Atari, excuse me. Well, it's Atari Commodore 64 video, so it's both. I can't seem to get this back in there. We have to pause again. Not too often I go into all this stuff and have to take all this stuff back out. Everything's falling out now. So I showed the joysticks before, so I probably won't go into all those. I got different types of joysticks. Pretty sure I showed you these ones. This is an old, it's called a 500XJ Epics, if you can see that. I think these were the crappier joysticks, if I recall. Of course, here's the other one. This stuff is just lying around in there. Here's an old Atari adapter. Oh, it's a Commodore, excuse me. Commodore adapter. I think that one's busted. There's another joystick, a different type of joystick. So, these are the more common ones. I got these a while back when I got a good Commodore deal from somebody. This is interesting. I've never used it, but it's a keyboard controller. You could use it for like the, was it the space simulation games or whatever. But, you have to go with the Atari stuff. I keep everything in giant containers. So these are just my computers, that's my Atari. Here's an old disk drive. These are the joysticks, that's the second one actually. And here's the Commodore 64 drive. another Commodore. I have a couple of Commodores in here. Here's one that I have. I think this is my working one. This might be my busted one. This is kind of busted anyway. Those eBay deals you get on eBay and a bunch of cords and stuff. This was something I used to plug into a monitor when I still had a monitor. This is the old days when you plugged it into the monitor. Stuff like that. Okay, here's another Commodore. So see, there's actually two here. See? A little bit different, missing some keys on that one, of course. And here's Atari disk drive. This, I had one like this back in the days, but I actually had not exactly like this. My friend actually had one like this, but actually I had a more updated one for the XE. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one that they just came out with it and I just bought it. And everything else in here is just cords, plugs. Nothing really to show you. Might want to see this. This is a disc notcher. If you guys know what those are. You take it on a floppy disk and you can actually make it so you can double density, I think it's called, where you can write on both sides. And here's some Atari paddles. Who remembers those from the old combat days and space shoot 'em up days and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Now I gotta get all this back in here. I'm gonna pause this again. Okay, so we're back in action. I don't know if I showed you this before. This is going to be for the Atari people. I should have turned it around the other way. Let's see what the containers kind of look like. Anyways, I guess a couple of this I could show you. I may have showed this or may not, I don't know. I thought I would share it to you. I'm bored tonight. So, anyways, I'm going to flip this camera up here a little bit. Anybody remembers the old Compute magazines? I collected these back in the day and they actually had, you know, good Atari programs in it, Commodore programs, everything in it. And they had their own different games in it and stuff like that. So I had a few of those. And what else was in here? Over here I had the other Atari magazine, the Commodore magazine. Let me see if I can find them. Most of the stuff in here is just Atari magazines. But there was some Commodore stuff in here somewhere. Maybe I didn't stick it in here. I thought I did. Let me see. Yeah, there's some more Compute magazines. There's another Compute magazine in the back there. Those are probably worth something, but I won't part with them, of course. I'll probably keep them till I die. Let me check this side and see what's over here. Mostly Atari analog stuff. This doesn't have anything to do with the video, but I bought this magazine many, many years ago. Bill Gates, on his time when he was, it says actually, on the job with the world's richest man. I guess he was deemed the richest then. But anyways, pretty sure it's in here. It's going to get a little bit boring here, so bear with me on that just a second. Maybe I'll have to cut out some of this stuff. There's an old Atari magazine. I don't know how many they ever had these printed, but I never felt good enough programs in it where I could buy it. It's called Atari Interface, for those who are watching for the Atari stuff. But these, I did show these before. These are mostly everything in this container are these. They're antique magazines, and I had just nearly every issue there was imagined of the antique. If I just pull them out randomly, you can see there's one right there. And these are all about the Atari, essentially. Oh, here's another different Atari magazine. It's called the Atari Explorer. Does anybody remember that? Go ahead and comment below if you do remember the Atari Explorer magazine. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's what it looks like. I think I found one program in there that I found interesting. And here's some of the later versions of Antic. Of course, I mentioned Analog. Analog's in here too, which is another Atari magazine. I'll show you what it looks like. There's an Analog magazine right there. These were great for assembly language. They always had assembly language listings, and I learned so much just from those magazines alone. Here's an Antic magazine. This is like a 1983, I think it is. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to show backward there, but you can kind of see. I hold it up there. It's 1983. There are 82s in here also. And here's another analog magazine. This other whole side is just all Antic. I don't know if I have any good ones I can show you or not. This is an older one. This one's like the 1983. There's 1983 issue. So you're seeing these are worth some money, I can tell you that. But I'm not about money. You know me, I'm a collector. I can't part with this stuff. I love it too much. Here's an old one. I think that's like 1985. That's a pretty popular one there too. They're torn up, so they're probably not worth as much as they would be, but anything that's retro is, you know, anything, how's that saying go? Supply and demand. So here's another one. When supply is low, the demand is high, which would be the case with these magazines. This was a very popular one. I know I've showed this one probably 100 times in all my videos, but it actually has a game contest in it, and it actually has a listing in the back of the opcodes for assembly language. And I used those a lot back in the days. There's some more Antic magazines. You can see these are just all Antic. This whole section is just Antic. And this is probably a boring video for you guys, but I just figured I needed to throw a video out, so this would be the one. Here's an analog magazine. Another one. And another one. This one's got a cool one. This is like a Star Trek on the front of it. This one. That's when Star Trek was kind of a theme in those days, you know. But yep, pretty much the whole thing, Antic and analog, is going all the way through to the end. This one I love. It actually has a good semi-language listings I learned from. And I could probably show you those real quick. Not to bore you so much, but this is these are some of the semi-language listings. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see if I get real close. This camera's pretty good. It's probably going to come backward again, but anyways, yep, just thought I would show you that to you. Probably going to pause here again. 17 minutes, not bad. Okay, so we're back in. And before I get started, I wanted to show you these. I don't know if I'm going to go through all of them. Team Marble Madness. These are all the software games that I found in an eBay deal once. And I showed many of these on my store before, but there's like Jordan versus Bird. This lighting is just not good. There's Fast Break right there. There's Kickstart, Skate or Die, Test Drive. That's a good one. So I know a lot of these are available on emulators these days, but I just thought I would show you. Very retro, guys, and how retro am I? I'm Three Stooges retro. And oh, Winter Games. Yeah, I love that one. Winter Games, everybody remembers that one. So anyways, what we really wanted to show you in this session, which I showed before, is all the Commodore 64 books I own. In addition to the Atari magazines, I own mostly Atari. I mean, mostly Commodore 64 books. These actually have program listings in them. This one's all machine language stuff. And this one I've showed 100,000 times, but machine language for beginners. My first machine language book I ever borrowed at the library. Everybody has one of these if you have a Commodore back in the days. It's a disk drive manual. There's another one actually. I got this one on eBay too. So, and talk about the Atari for a second. There's one for the Atari Owner's Manual. So that's the first computer I ever owned right there. Oh no, that's actually the XE system. Well, I didn't own the XE, I actually owned the Atari XE, not the system part. But anyway. This one's really torn up. I'm going to put these over here because I already looked at these. Separate these. This one is seriously torn up, but this is the Atari Commodore 64 Programmer's Reference. You can see how much I like this book by looking. It's just falling apart. That's what's left of the book, pretty much. But it's a really great book. In the back here, pages falling out. In the back here, when I get it back together, there's some assembly language listings, or there's opcode listings here, for those who are interested. There's actually an ASCII table right there. So yeah. Anyways, I'm just going to fall apart to show it to you. This is a cool book I picked up in a bookstore. I think it was Barnes & Nobles or whatever it was back in the days. And it's got peaks and pokes for the Commodore 64. Some really good material here about learning tricks and tips about assembly language. Definitely found in this book, and even electronics. This one, it fell apart too. This was the original Commodore 64 guide. This is actually my original book. And I can contest to that, the fact that it's already falling apart. There's no back on it. And it's really old. So we're talking 80s stuff here. Okay. Yeah, I got more Commodore stuff here. Everything else is Atari, I guess. So Commodore 64, map into Commodore 64. I showed this 1,000 times, but you know, it's got all the address assembly language lesson. And like I said, if you go to bombjack.org, you can get all these. I think most of them are available now in PDF. I showed this one before about Atari graphics, one of my first favorite ones. Really taught me how to write my own games on the Atari computer, which I love doing. And then, of course, in addition to the Commodore 64 map, now we have map in the Atari. One of the best guides you can ever buy for your Atari if you really want to learn your way around its memory and understand how assembly language works. Good example. This was a series of books that Compute created. This was actually for the Atari, and this was their #1. They also created for the Commodore 64. And this one's got also, just like the others, it's got listings. If you can see that, that's actually a basic listing there. But anyways, you can tell how much I like code. I keep showing it a lot and boring, yeah, I know. This is a great book I got on eBay a while back. I always wanted to own this book when I was a kid, but every time I went in the store, it got sold out. But it's got some great examples for writing your own display lists on the Atari. It really breaks down how the display list memory works and teaches you from an assembly language perspective so you can get writing those more advanced programs and games. Everybody probably remembers this if you had an Atari. If you had, I'd say you gotta have this book. Basic Atari Basic, the best way to learn your way around from graphics to sound to everything from disk drive. It just teaches you everything. This book is just totally awesome. It's not awesome from a game perspective, although it does cover player muscle graphics, very minimal in the book. But it's great for everything else. I mean, it teaches you inside out how the Atari really functions. And from a basic perspective, it's just excellent. So I think that's all I have for that. So, actually, I think that's all I have for today. Yes, it's been a long video, so, whoa. I hope you enjoyed this video, much as I enjoyed creating it for you, and this display did not come out very well, but yeah, my lighting's pretty bad here, I guess. But anyways, this is Steve Morrow signing off, and please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.